those covalent bonds, right, are not permanent, and if you dump enough energy into them, they'll break apart. Turbles Celbor here with more Fortnite Battle Royale on Nintendo Switch. I am playing the solo queue for Ranked, which is of course Fortnite Arena, and I am playing on a Nintendo Switch HAC 001, which is in fact the default version of the regular Switch. This is not, people have asked, this is not a Switch Lite nor a Switch OLED. There really isn't much hardware difference between the regular Switch and the Switch OLED. There's a definite hardware difference between the Nintendo Switch and the Nintendo Switch Lite. So the Nintendo Switch Lite does not have the 1080p capability, nor does it dock. So if you really were wondering if I'm playing this on a Lite or whatever, the Lite, despite being a newer piece of hardware, is not as capable as the original Switch. So I don't know what to tell you. At any rate, if you were watching my previous video, you know I was just trying something new, and I am going to explain an area which I'm technically an expert in, which is liquid chromatography, tandem mesh spectrometry, because why not? So for those of you wondering, I am an actual clinical laboratory scientist. So I went to school, I got a bachelor's degree in biology, and then I got an additional degree in medical laboratory science. So not quite a graduate degree, but it is a technical degree on top of a traditional kind of liberal arts degree. So I do know a little bit about what I'm talking about here. So basically, what I was discussing in the previous video is what is known as the gold standard method for small molecule detection, which is of course the liquid chromatograph tandem mesh spectrometer. So if you're watching this and you're like getting your laboratory science degree and you don't understand what the heck I'm talking about, and you really want to understand this particular methodology, well, what a weird way to learn, but I'm here to help. So before I talked about kind of like the idea of a liquid chromatograph, and specifically the way the liquid chromatograph works as both is essentially highly nonpolar or polar. So I'm gonna just move ahead on this. So the example molecule I gave was THCOOH, THCCOOH, excuse me. So basically, the primary metabolite of THC has a highly nonpolar region. If you look at tetrahydrocannabinol, you'll see like this weird like little, ooh, what's this? This is new. Oh, it's a shotgun of some kind. I'm just gonna ignore that person. So basically, if you have a nonpolar column and a polar mobile phase, what's gonna happen? Oh, incoming. I'm not gonna go down there. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. Up. Covert cavern. Heck yeah. Anyway, so if you have a highly non-polar substance, which is usually the best way to do this, you have a non-polar column. So the column has a lot of non-charged regions. The electronegativity of the molecule of interest and the electronegativity of the column are similar. And your mobile phase is highly polar. So water is a very polar molecule. Your analyte that you're trying to analyze will get stuck on a column, like physically stuck there. And then what you can do is you can slowly increase the gradient of your mobile phase in terms of increase the amount of non-polar mobile phase flowing through the column. This is an example of gradient mobile phase, but basically you'll have water and usually methanol or acetonitrile, which are both highly nonpolar, running through your liquid chromatograph system. So the THC gets stuck on the nonpolar column, because remember, nonpolar groups are sticky to each other. They stick to each other, they don't like polar things, right? But as your amount of nonpolar solvent pushes through the column, it increases the likelihood that you can sweep, basically the mobile phase becomes so nonpolar it can sweep the nonpolar analyte of interest off the column and out of the system into the mass spectrometer. So this is the thing, I've taught multiple people the theory behind this and like how to use it. But basically, if you want to look at a substance that's been swept through a liquid chromatograph, you need some kind of detector at the other end. It can't just be the liquid chromatograph itself. So in most applications, you combine the liquid chromatograph with some kind of spectrometer, usually a mass spectrometer. So the mass spectrometer comes in a bunch of different configurations. I am going to describe what is referred to as tandem mass spectrometry, or because scientists love stupid names, the triple quad mass spectrometer. So basically, after your THC gets swept off of that there column, it needs to go somewhere. And if you're smart, you've hooked it up to your triple quad mass spectrometer, right? So the triple quad consists of 3 quadrupole detectors. So the quadrupoles are, not detectors, quadrupoles. So quadrupoles are essentially a series of metal rails arranged in a plus sign shape, right? So they're round metal rails that are arranged in the shape of a plus sign. So it's a little squarish kind of shape, right? But because they are round, there is a section between them that forms a hole, okay? And those metal rails carry an electrical charge. So in a triple quad mass spectrometer, the first set of rails act as a mass filter. And because if you're watching this and you are in medtech school, I guarantee you're gonna get this stupid question. So the first set is a mass filter. It is referred to in most literature as quadrupole 1, but it is a mass filter. So what it does is those rails change electrical charge very quickly, right? So rail 1, if you imagine, I'm gonna put this on the screen, hopefully. Rail 1 is like a circle with an electrical charge. Let's say it's really positive, right? And then the others are all negative. So a negatively charged ion is pushed away from those 3 poles and up to the top one, right? But after about 3 nanoseconds and your molecule runs up to the top, right? Then the one to the right, it gets charged, and it's the one with the positive charge and everybody else is negative. So it pushes your negatively charged molecule towards the right. Then it moves to the bottom one, and it does the same thing. It pushes that negatively charged molecule to the bottom, okay? So then it keeps on doing that, right, for each different little, you can see on this little section that I'm probably going to create this animation. This is probably way too much work I'm creating for myself. But basically, what happens is a molecule of if you resonate those charges and move them around really, really quickly, it creates a mass and charge, right? Specifically, an object of a specific mass and a specific charge will, in fact, I'm getting heck out of Dodge. There's somebody nearby, and I don't want to be near people. Objects of specific mass and a specific charge will essentially get stuck in the middle of those rails. Everything else will hit those rails or go flying out between them. So, you know, that's cool, I guess. And that's how a mass spectrometer works. So that's Q1. Q2 is something just very scientific, hip hip hooray. It essentially just shoots a bunch of electricity into the covalent bonds of an ion. Essentially what it does is it creates what's known as a mass filter, or not a mass filter, sorry. It creates a disruption between the covalent bonds, and it fragments the ion. So if you shoot 3200 volts, the covalent bonds, right? Remember, they're bonds between electrons, if you remember that from basic chemistry. Those covalent bonds, right, are not permanent, and if you dump enough energy into them, they'll break apart. And the result is a complex molecule will break down in consistent ways, right? So if you're looking at THC, like certain covalent bonds are stronger than others, and others are weaker. And if you pump a bunch of electricity into it, it basically damages those bonds irreparably, and it fragments into a bunch of ions. Then we get into Q3, which is, of course, wow, that's a tree. I need to get out of here. Oof. Run, 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 run. I don't want to get caught up in that. That person, I don't know what that person was doing. Woof. I don't like it. I'm just gonna get as much distance between me and them as possible. Anyway, so you got your fragmented ions. They fly into Q3, and the Q3 is the same as the Q1. It just looks at smaller ion. So that's how. Whoops. Whoa. I do not like that. I don't know why that person feels the need to attack me at this time. I bet you they're gonna come in here. I'm gonna have to deal with them. Whew. Still alive. 45 is good. Are they in here? I don't know. Oh, I'm down. How sad.